I got really excited about what GlobaliD is and what it represents because it's almost like the technological parallel to what I've been doing as an athlete in terms of self-sovereignty and ownership, like really being able to own your own identity is going to be super important as we move more and more into this technological world. Yeah, my name is Lila Lapanja. I'm a professional ski racer from Lake Tahoe, and I am officially an ambassador and spokesperson for GlobaliD as of this year. I got into skiing when I was quite young. I started skiing when I was 2 years old at a local mountain in Tahoe called Diamond Peak. And it was always a part of my life ever since I remember. I never remember not thinking that I was going to be a skier. It was always something that was part of my identity growing up and just so viscerally a part of who I was and such a passion of mine that as I got older, there was never a moment where I made the decision to actually become seriously focused on skiing professionally. I always thought that that was going to be the progression of my life. It felt like such an organic progression and evolution of who I was. And I would say I was probably about 14, 15 when I started realizing that I really wanted to get more into it. And that was about the time when um, the race intensities increased and I started racing different races that took me to different parts of the country and started getting noticed by the national ski team. The journey onto the ski team is a very special time in my life. I was 16 years old when I got invited to a tryout camp in Mammoth Mountain, and based off of how I skied at that camp, I got a call later that spring saying that I've been nominated to the national development team for the ski team. The team is broken down into different tiers. So you have the A team, which is a World Cup Olympic level, B, C, and D team. And at the time, I was 16 and I had been nominated to the D team. And that's where my journey as a more higher level ski racer began. And I started racing more international races. I represented the US team at two junior world championships, multiple U.S. national championships, had many junior podiums, and had a really successful junior career. And then from there, I started to continue to get faster. And by the end of my time with the team, I was racing World Cup races, and I had scored World Cup points, which means being in the top 30 for the World Cup. And yes, it was quite a journey to go from being a wide-eyed 16-year-old to feeling more like a seasoned veteran after 6 years with the team. After 6 years on the ski team, I was 22 years old and I had had a season on the World Cup where I was skiing fast, but I wasn't finishing. I wasn't generating or creating any results. And based off of that, based off of where I had progressed to in my career for my age, the team at the time had a age-based algorithm that they followed, and we were compared internationally to other athletes that were our age, and I wasn't performing as well as I should have been for the age that I was. So they decided to defund me, and so I went off on my own after that and started racing as an independent racer. And that was a very eye-opening experience for me because I had gone from having this support and having basically anything I needed at my fingertips to compete at the highest level and to stay competitive with other athletes at that level. And then suddenly I was independent on my own and I had to basically start my ski racing business again from the ground up, like a startup company, essentially. When I got that news at age 22, I didn't feel like I was too old to be successful. I just felt like my progress had been stunted a little bit and I was at a different level than I had been used to, and I felt like I needed more time or more development. I didn't feel like I was at my prime or reaching my potential. It felt very incomplete. So when I got that news, I thought to myself, okay, well, this is still exactly what I want to be doing. I can't imagine doing anything else in my life right now. So, what do I need to do to continue this journey and make this happen? What steps do I need to take? I thought about the college route. I thought about racing in college, but education and professional sports has always been something that I've wanted to keep separate from each other so I could put my 100% focus and attention to each one. And so um, I decided to just take that independent route, and it was easy in the sense that I think from a spiritual perspective, I'm a big risk taker, and I'm not afraid to follow something that I believe in and that I'm passionate about. And skiing has definitely been my testing ground for that exploration. And I never felt afraid to go out on my own. I knew that there were going to be immense challenges, especially financially. The financial challenge as an independent athlete is enormous. And the hardest part about being on your own is finding that financial support and then also finding opportunities to be on snow and actually ski courses and have a training environment to be in. So I looked at these challenges and I thought to myself, okay, is this worth it? And the answer for the last, let's see, I'm 26 years old now. So for the last 4 years, the answer has continually been yes. And I've never felt doubt that I made the wrong decision to continue on my own, even though, despite all of the difficulties. Some of the big milestones on that journey or on the journey that I've been on the last 4 years has really been a couple things. One, financial understanding of ski racing, learning about my expenses, learning about my finances, learning how to budget, create budgets, learning where to place money, what my priorities are to be successful at this level, like where I'm deciding to make my investments and put my time and money and energy. That's been a really enriching experience for me. The other part of that is when you're on your own, the more you realize you're alone, the more alone you are, the more you realize you need a bigger community to support you and that you really can't do it alone. And so my relationships changed with people. I started reaching out to people more. I started connecting with people that I wouldn't otherwise normally have connected with. And I started reaching out to sponsors with a different appreciation and a different gratitude, and really letting them know that what they're doing is they're taking a risk on me as well by investing into my career, but that the support that they're giving to me is worth it because it's allowing me to continue this journey and allowing me to inspire people on this journey and show people that you don't have to have everything at your fingertips to be able to be successful. You can create those opportunities for yourself based off of your mentality, how you're thinking, and where you decide to look for support. Yeah, the Olympics are this season, 2022, February in Beijing, China. And this has been the culmination of a lot of years of hard work. And just like venturing out on my own, the Olympics are, in a way, a gamble as well. I know that I'm going to have to bring my best to every race that I start in, which will be used as qualification for the Olympics. How it works in our sport and ski racing is we have a normal World Cup season with between 7 and 9 races per event. And in the event that I'm competing in, which is called slalom, before the Olympic Games, I'll have seven races, at most 7 races. And what the U.S. ski team will name the Olympic team based off of the results in any of those races. So they have objective criterias, they have subjective criterias. They look at kind of the whole picture. They look at your results, but they also look at your trajectory and if you're showing speed, potential, maybe your splits in the course are fast and you're showing that you're capable of podium potential, which is what ultimately it comes down to. And so the next couple months will be focused on me training and entering into these races that I have my own starts in based off of previous results from previous seasons. And then those are my chances, and you have to go for it. You really have to risk it, and you have to, of course, be smart. You need to finish a race to have results, but you can't just focus on finishing the race. You really need to find some edges, both literally on your skis and figuratively finding the edge to reap the rewards, and then hopefully be able to qualify for the Olympics. And for the event that I'll be skiing in, they can take up to 4 athletes per event. So um, on any given day, there might be about 8 of us competing for a spot. So pressure's high, stakes are high, but I'm also really excited because this is the journey that I'm on, and it's the one that I've wanted to be on. And so I really welcome the pressure, and I like the pressure, and I like the feeling of not knowing what's going to happen, and it's very it's a very adventurous feeling, and I like that thrill. Formula One is almost the same thing. I mean, one of my favorite movies of all time is Rush, which I'm sure you've seen. And the reason why I love that movie so much is it is so incredibly relatable, and you have these two personalities, and both are winning personalities, but you can just see the dynamic, and neither one is right and neither one is wrong. So it's a really cool and inspiring story. It's fully my responsibility to have the career if I want it. There's no safety net, and so it's definitely kept me very honest. And when things get difficult or when I have setbacks, um, I think about, again, is this worth it? And it's continually the answer is absolutely yes, it's worth it. But the responsibility, while that can be a burden at times to be responsible for your life and your career, it's also very empowering, especially in our sport. The things that I've had to learn, that I've been forced to learn, have only made me a better athlete and a better skier. And that goes for mentally, emotionally, especially physically, changing my training. I mean, having to write my own training programs and hire the right coaches and all of that stuff because it's not given to me. I've had to find my own way, and it's actually maybe even been better because I've been able to create something that's more in line with my values, my philosophy, how I work as an individual versus being put, um, in an environment that I might have to be forced to adapt to. I can kind of create my own container. When I first heard of GlobaliD, I actually had no idea what it was about. It's a world that's really foreign to me that I just had no idea about. So, um, and because it it's something that I didn't know, I wasn't comfortable with it. Like I just didn't know what the what it was about. And so once I started talking to Greg and I looked at the vision, um, I got really excited about what GlobaliD is and what it represents because it's almost like the technological parallel to what I've been doing as an athlete in terms of self sovereignty and ownership, like really, really being able to own your own identity is going to be super important as we move more and more into this technological world. And the more that people are able to take control of that and have responsibility over that and understand it, the less scary it becomes and the more empowered the individual becomes. And then you have a society of individuals who just own themselves. Like they know exactly who they are, and they don't have to jump through hoops to try to prove that. And so as I thought more and more about GlobaliD, I thought, wow, this is a really cool thing that's getting built right now, and I'm really excited to be a part of it. And I can relate to it in an athletic way with identity and taking ownership of my individual person. how I see my relationship with GlobaliD moving forward is being an ambassador on behalf of GlobaliD. I think I represent a big part of society that doesn't understand technology but wants to understand it, and so I can really speak on behalf of why this is going to be such an important transition to make in the future. And I really believe in it. And so I'm just excited to work with GlobaliD and share their values and talk about it, and um, kind of break it down so it doesn't seem so scary in the technological world, because I think technology can kind of be like math, where it can be really intimidating and scary, but it's mostly just because we don't know how to wield it. We don't know how to use it properly. So I think Global ID is creating a really simple platform to make people comfortable with that. And yeah, I hope to work with Global ID for quite a while in the future, especially with the Slovenian connection. That was one of the most fun parts of the journey, is talking to Greg Kidd and realizing that he has Slovenian heritage, and I am half Slovenian. My father was born and raised in Slovenia, and I spent a very big chunk of my time, my childhood, going over to Slovenia and understanding the Slovenian culture. So I think I have a really cool international presence to be able to bring and share with the company, and hopefully connect with the team over there as well. If you guys want to follow my journey, you can follow me on Instagram at Lila Lapanja. I also have a Facebook page, Facebook athlete page, Lila Lapanja. I also have a Twitter account, but I would say I'm most active on Instagram, and the more the merrier. I love sharing my journey with people, and I want people to be inspired by it and be connected to it. It's a really big piece of why I continue to be an athlete. Of course, I'm here to win and to be successful, but I will not be doing it alone, and I know that now as a older 26-year-old. Um, and so yeah, that's where you can follow my journey. Pa še nekaj v slovenščini hočem reči za ta ekipo v Sloveniji z Global ID-jem. Moje ime je Lila, jaz sem pol Američanka, pa pol Slovenka, in upam, da se kmalu lahko poznava. Um, Mogoče v prihodnosti lahko pridem v Ljubljani pa se pridružimo.